Over the last dozen years, my weight has significantly fluctuated over a 38 kilogram range. That's like half of my current body weight. I'm now taking control, and in this video, I'm going to tell you both how and why. Now, hopefully this helps you in some shape or form, especially if you've got the skinny fat body type and you found that nothing else has really worked. Now, I'm not a licensed personal trainer or dietitian. I'm just going to tell you what's been working for me. So take whatever I say with a grain of salt, but not too many though, because too much sodium is bad for you. To make this easier to digest, I'm going to break this down into smaller pieces and put the timestamps on the menu here and on the bar below. So just jump to wherever you want to go. So this is where I was at last year. I had set some pretty lofty goals for myself. Did I achieve them? No. Firstly, I went to Japan and I spent all my days just gorging on all that magnificent food. Then when I came back, I did something really stupid and I injured myself ego lifting. So what I tried to do was increase my deadlift 1 rep max by 10 kilograms a week. So I went 140, 150, 160, 170, all well and good. And then I tried 180 kilograms and I stuffed up my back pretty bad and I was out of commission for a while.
My back! Oh, my back!
So there's a lesson in there about overdoing it, and it wasn't the only one that I learned on my journey. And then I had exams, and with the exams came stress, and with the stress came stress eating. So needless to say, I kind of ended up in the opposite direction to where I wanted to go. So I put on the desired weight, but I put it on in fat instead of muscle. So that was a no-go, and I spent the last 6 months on a caloric deficit to try to bring it back to where I am right now. And this is where I'm at right now. Brace yourself. And this is where I'm at right now. You'd be forgiven for thinking it's pretty much the same thing as last year and that I haven't changed that much at all. And you'd kind of be right. But there are a few key differences. For one, my tries are finally starting to come out a little bit, and my shoulders as well. I used to previously neglect them all the time, and I've started to change that last year. So they're coming out now. And another thing is, for the first time in about 10 years, my abs are finally kind of showing themselves. So I know this is kind of cheating, but I can only kind of get my abs to show in certain lighting, like in my bathroom. And I can kind of get them to pop a bit more if I pull down my flab like that. But that's really cheating, isn't it? So the goal is to get them to show without having to do any of this shit. When you kind of start seeing abs through the fat, it's like seeing light at the end of the tunnel, and it gives you hope that if you keep going, you'll eventually get there. And that's true. Just be persistent and consistent, and eventually you'll get the results that you want. Oh, and here's my pathetic Ziz attempt number 2. I'm a long way off from where I need to be, but it's all a journey, right? So why am I doing all this? What's the point of trying to get into shape? I mean, you can either be happy with your current state of being, or you can strive towards an ideal. And as I said last year, this is my ideal. And you can laugh all you want, but Superman is an ideal to strive towards, both inside and out.
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards.
And the goal is to get both of those to match. Now, I've heard some ignorant people say that bodybuilding is just a narcissistic vanity project. And I'm not gonna lie, I mean, it does make you feel better when you start to see yourself looking better, and it does give you confidence. But that's the least of what it does. It teaches you so much more than that. For one thing, the bulk of your confidence doesn't come from the fact that you're starting to look better. It comes from the fact that you know that you made it happen. You literally manifested your inner strength into your outer strength. And that's something that's really hard to do. I mean, you have to sacrifice so much of your time. You have to forego your foodie tendencies and watch what you eat. And that's really hard for someone who loves food. Trust me, I know. And then on top of doing all of that, it still takes months and months of consistency before you start seeing some semi-decent results. And so that's why I have so much respect for people who do this, who chase their goals and passions and have that persistency and that dedication, because it's not something that comes easy to people. The old me used to just give up really easily, but that's changed. And that's largely due to my great friend Dr. Kanav Malhotra, who's an absolute machine and who sees this incredible potential in me and keeps pushing me to achieve it. The same goes for my other best friend Kenneth. And that brings me to the sense of kinship and camaraderie that you get with a gym buddy when you go to the gym together. You push them, you literally support them, you drive them to become better. They do the same for you and you start spiraling up together. So if you have friends like that in your life, make sure you keep them close. Now let's not forget the most important thing, and that is how much effect your body has on everything else. That's why Tony Robbins says that your physiology is the most important thing. You fix your physical state and everything else will follow. Now that's also why when you're learning improv acting, they teach you that if your mind blanks, just do something with your body. Use your physicality and everything else will fall into place. Now speaking of improv acting, I just did it last year and it was one of the best decisions I ever made.
Don't want to hurt you though.
Oh, don't worry. I'm a superhero. I'm corporate man. And I do your taxes. It helped with my confidence, it made me think quicker on my feet, and it made me a better listener as well. I would highly recommend it for anyone. And I'm just going to quickly give a shout out to Laugh Masters Academy, and I'll put a link to their website below, just in case there's anyone else out there who wants to yes and whatever life throws at them. Now fitness is a dominance hierarchy of sorts, and as you climb to the top, the skills, strengths and determination that you learn can be transferable to something else. That way you can climb multiple dominance hierarchies at the same time, synergistically. And that's one thing I learned from Dr. Jordan Peterson, along with something else which I find is relevant, which comes from his book, 12 Rules for Life and Antidote to Chaos. So rule number 1 is stand up straight with your shoulders back. Now that might sound cliche and mundane, right? Wrong. It changes everything. See, when I first started gymming all those years ago, I was one of those idiots who just focused on chest and buys to the expense of everything else. And because of that, I guess I kind of have man boobs, or moobs as some people call them. So my posture was terrible. My shoulders were rolled forward. I was a defeated lobster, in Jordan Peterson's words. But after reading his book, I started consciously rectifying that. I started going to the gym and focusing more on my back, shoulders, and rear delts. I started doing exercises like reverse cable flies, face pulls, and wide grip pull-ups. This started to grow them to the point where my shoulders naturally pull back of their own accord. And what a difference that has made. It changes your presence. It makes you the top lobster. People look at you and react to you differently. It sets up a positive feedback loop which boosts your self-confidence even more. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now there's so much more I need to say about Jordan Peterson, so I think it deserves its own video. This one is getting kinda long anyway. So stay tuned, you don't want to miss it. Make sure you hit subscribe and the bell icon. So there are about 3 things that I need to fix now. Firstly, I'm scrawny. I'm only 75 kilos, which is underweight for a 6-foot man. But then again, I've been on a caloric deficit for the last 6 months to shred as much as possible. But that ends tonight. I'm going to start bulking now. I'm trying to aim to get to about 85 kilos by August. That's a 10 kilo jump. I'm hoping my arms will increase by at least 2 inches by then as well. The second thing I need to fix is my symmetry. I'm asymmetrical all over the place. My right arm is quite a bit bigger. This is 14 inches. My left is 13.5. It doesn't sound like much, but it is. And because of that, because my left arm is weaker, it seems that other areas of my body have overcompensated. So my left traps are bigger, my left chest is a bit bigger, my left abs are wider, but for some reason my right abs are taller. I don't know how that happened, but I have to fix it. And the third thing I need to fix is my flexibility. It's terrible right now. I've got like no range of motion and I really need that. And I'll tell you why in my next video. It's kind of cool. To improve my flexibility, I was thinking of taking up yoga. I actually know a really great yoga teacher who might join me on one of my videos in the future, so stay tuned for that. Now before I put my shirt back on, I'm just going to benchmark myself really quickly. This is mainly just for me to check my progress over time, hopefully in August after I finish bulking. So let's just do this really quickly. And that should do it. Now when I say I'm the skinny fat body type, I don't mean by that I've been both of those things in the span of 1 year, although I have. What I mean by that is that I have the body type that makes it really hard for me to put on muscle, but really easy for me to put on fat. Now, unfortunately, I can't really show you any photos of myself from back at my biggest days when I was 98 kilos because frankly, I couldn't stand the sight of myself, so I didn't take any photos. But what I can do is tell you how I lost those 25 kilos. So firstly, in the first month, I was running 8 kilometers a day. 4 kilometers in the morning, fasted cardio on an empty stomach, followed by 4 kilometers in the evening following a weight session. So although cardio is really good for quick fat loss, what I would recommend now is focusing on weights, because with the weights you get progressive overload, your muscles grow, and as your muscles grow they burn more energy and calories from just being passive and for an extended period after your workout. So that's something I've learned over the years. Don't just focus on cardio if you want to lose fat. So I lost 10 kilos in that first month, but I ended up overdoing it with the running and I gave myself shin splints, and that put me out of commission for a while. So I ended up losing the remaining 15 kilos over the course of the year, much slower but safer. I also was on a calorie deficit, but I should disabuse you of the notion that all calories are created equal. They're not. One thing you have to take into account is insulin spikes, and those are caused by sugar. So the best thing to do is to cut out sugar completely if you can. I cut out soft drinks, I cut out sugar from my teas and coffees. Unfortunately, I couldn't cut out chocolate because I'm a bit of a chocoholic and the endorphins give me a rush, and I'm human and I'm not perfect. And I couldn't help myself, what can I say? Then there was the fasting. Most of the time I was doing intermittent fasting where I only ate during an 8-hour window each day. And then once I actually took fasting to the next level and I did a 7-day water fast. For those who don't know what that is, basically for 7 days straight I didn't have any food or any calories. All I had was green tea, black coffee, and of course water. Now, for the first 3 days, I was starving. Like, you have no idea. People from the next room could probably hear my stomach rumbling. But after 3 days, your body goes into ketosis. So what that does is basically your body starts converting your fat into ketones as an energy source. And when that happens, funnily enough, you lose all hunger. So for 4 days after that, I kept going, and I could have gone longer, and I didn't feel any urge to eat. I lost a significant amount of body fat that I couldn't previously lose. Otherwise, it was very stubborn. But unfortunately, I also went a bit catabolic and I lost a fair amount of muscle as well. So that's why I stopped after 7 days, because I was kind of shrinking in all the bad ways as well. Now, please don't attempt a 7-day water fast without doing your due diligence and research, because it might not affect everyone in the same way and it can have adverse side effects if you're not lucky. So think about it very carefully. Now let's go on to supplements. I was taking quite a few of them. I still kind of am. So there's obviously the protein powders, the BCAAs. I'm also taking fish oil, about 6 caps a day. But to aid with the fat loss specifically, there were 3 things that really helped. First, there was CLA, conjugated linoleic acid. And what that does, it emulsifies your fat, breaks it down into smaller particles for easier absorption. Then there's 2 supplements. They're both part of the same thing kinda. So one of them is L-carnitine and one is acetyl L-carnitine. And what that does, it's very similar to ketosis. So it kind of tricks your body into burning fat reserves instead of carbs for energy. So when you combine that with CLA, it kind of burns through the fat pretty fast. And the third thing which I take with that is a thermogenic of some kind. I like using OxyShred. So what that does is it raises your body's temperature, your heart rate, and that makes you burn through the fat a lot faster as well. Now, speaking of thermogenics and also things you shouldn't take too casually, I did at one point try clenbuterol, and that's an extremely potent stimulant and thermogenic. It raises your metabolism, your heart rate, your body temperature, and it's really good for fat loss, but it's also used on racehorses, so don't take it casually. I don't know why I tried it. I just guess I like trying random things. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope at least some of it was helpful for you. Coming soon, I'm going to have my Jordan Peterson video and also my review of the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus along with the Galaxy Buds. So you can look forward to that as well. If you haven't seen the Umbrella Academy yet on Netflix, you should really do that along with my review, which I'm going to link below. And thanks so much for watching, and thanks even more for hitting like and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one.